Everybody, this is Peter Cipkowski, and I'm delighted to be having a conversation today with Jenny Elliott of Tiny Hearts Farm and Flower Shop in Copake and Hillsdale, New York. Hi, Jenny.
Hello, nice to be here.
So glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. I know that as a farmer, this is a pretty busy time for you.
It's pretty crazy right now for many reasons, yes.
Jenny, why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about your roots, where you came from.
Sure. Well, I came from Carmel, California, beautiful Carmel, California. I grew up there, gardening, hanging out at the beach, and then I moved to Boston and then eventually New York City for school. I went to Hunter College for grad school, ended up in New York, and was studying music history there, and was about to become a music librarian when I just got really antsy. I loved the research, but I felt like I was getting pasty and pale sitting inside so much. I couldn't handle it. Ended up working in New York City for a while and just couldn't. And started creeping further and further north, southern Westchester up to northern Westchester, and then started working on farms. Got a little piece of farmland in Westchester, which we quickly outgrew, and we drew a big circle around New York City. Because, my partner Luke is a jazz musician, didn't want to be too far from New York, and started looking for farmland. And Copake was right on the edge of that circle, and as we know, has beautiful farmlands. And we found a piece and moved up.
What was the process for discovering this particular piece of land, or is the land that you're now on in Copake the original land that you were working on when you came here?
It's the original piece of land we were working on when we came to Copake. We found it through, Northeast Farm Access. We're part of that project. And, we heard about it through a listserv. I think 5 farmer friends sent me the listing and said, hey, you got to go check this out. And we'd never heard of Copake, and we thought, well, hey, let's go see it. And the first time we came to see it, excuse me, it was a beautiful October day, blue skies, blue skies, and the hills just lit up bright red with all the foliage, and we were pretty won over immediately.
Yeah, no, you're in a spectacular setting, and Copake is so beautifully situated there against the Taconic Mountains. So, Jenny, did you always know when you came to Copake, did you know that you were going to set up a particular kind of farm business, cultivating flowers and so on?
So by that point, yes, we were, actually our first year here was our first year doing all flowers. When we had started the farm 3 years ago on our little borrowed acre in Westchester, we were, like 3/4 vegetables and 1/4 flowers. And then we slowly just kind of switched away from vegetables and towards flowers because that was all anybody seemed to want. We had trouble selling vegetables. There were so many farms doing it like bigger and better than we were. But at that time, we were like the only people growing flowers, which seems hard to believe now because it wasn't that long ago. I guess it was 10 years ago now. And now there's so many flower farms. But we had farmers markets like banging down our doors if we would sell flowers. So we followed that trajectory. And when we moved to Copake, we took 15 acres and we thought, we'll just farm 2 acres the first year, because to double what we're farming would be a good sized jump for us. And when we got here, and we had all this infrastructure all of a sudden, we built a greenhouse, we had a barn, we had fencing and water, all these things we didn't have on our little acre in Westchester. That first year, we actually ended up growing on 5 acres, and bought a tractor and just all the way in, you know?
Was it complicated for you and Luke to make that transition from vegetables to flowers? I mean, you know, I don't know, philosophically, as people who wanted to farm, was it clearly it was a market opportunity for you, but what was the process?
Yeah, philosophically actually was kind of weird because I got into growing food because I was really interested in nutrition and getting healthy food to people and sharing that with the community, all that kind of stuff. So switching to flowers was a little bit weird. We've talked a lot about why flowers and why that's important. And I tell you, this pandemic has hit it home. I mean, people need flowers. Like when times are tough, we've had people call us in tears needing flowers the past couple months. It's been quite moving. And then as far as like the practicalities, there was a huge learning curve to growing flowers. At the time when we started, there was not too much information about flowers. There's still not nearly as much information about growing flowers as there is about vegetables. So yeah, steep learning curve. I mean, the basics are the same.
Yeah. But you mentioned when you began chatting, a gardener growing up in Carmel. Were there any lessons that you learned there that are perennial, that, you know, that you carry with you as you know, get your hands in the dirt in Copic?
I think a few maybe. I mean, one is that's important to me is to have an eye towards just what looks beautiful, like more towards what looks beautiful, not towards what's right, you know, the perfect flower with the straight stem. I mean, I remember as a kid just like following after my dad, collecting the hedge trimmings and making them into a bouquet, right? And I still have that same aesthetic. And also where I grew up in Carmel, you know, we have this like craggy, rugged coastline, very, very wild looking. And I feel like aesthetically I've carried that into what I like to grow and the design work as well. But yeah, mostly just hunting around the garden, finding things.
Yeah.
And of course, California, you know, like there's all kinds of wonderful things there that we can't grow here very well. But also, like I grew up, I had never smelled a peony. I had never smelled a lilac. They just don't grow there. So it's been fun moving to the East Coast for those reasons too.
And what about the idea of, I don't know, what you're doing is also good for the environment. It's not just, it's not frivolous. What you're doing is actually helpful for the environment. Is that part of the process?
I think a big one for us is land stewardship, taking care of the piece of land that we're on. We're not certified organic, but we are organic growers. We don't use any chemical fertilizers or insecticides or anything like that. So that's very important to us. And yeah, just making sure that, you know, that when we leave this piece of land, it's in better shape, that we've improved the soil is important to us for sure. Early on, we were doing farmers markets. We were tiptoeing into selling retail, like bouquets to grocery stores. You know, our first few bouquets, I said, oh my gosh, and I ran to Staples and bought a roll of paper and had to figure out some way to wrap them. You know, and just slowly over time, we started doing more of that. We started selling to florists. In a normal year, you know, the van goes down twice a week to New York City, directly to florists. Eventually, I think by our second year of farmers markets, people started asking us to do weddings. And as you know, that's a big part of our business now. And then the flower shop, we opened up the whole retail side. Still to my surprise, I mean, we think of it as this like beautiful glorified farm store still. and then this year we've been doing all the curbside pickup. So switching over to online sales almost entirely.
What you have is so amazing. I mean, you're in this beautiful rustic barn right now, right? You have this gorgeous setting behind you, flowers over your left shoulder. What are those flowers, by the way?
Wait, William.
Oh,
Yeah, dianthus.
beautiful, beautiful. So you're in the spectacular setting in this amazing field there in Kopek, and you've got this gorgeous farm store in Hillsdale. Tell us a little bit about the establishment of your business there and the kind of business that you run out of Hillsdale in a normal year.
In a normal year, oh my gosh. Well, it's we've barely had time to figure it out, right? This is our third season, so we've had two practice seasons at the farm store, and I say seasons because it is seasonal. We just do seasonal flowers, just whatever's coming out of the farm fields. And so in the winter, we've been closed down. As we get more greenhouses, I shouldn't have to think about that. We have 3 right now. We had borrowed one last year. As we get more greenhouses, hopefully that time that we're closed in the winter will shorten. We'll close later and open up earlier in the spring. But we opened the store. One day, Matthew White said to me, hey, would you want to open up a flower shop in Hillsdale? And I said, no, are you insane? Farming is like, it's a full-time job. And he asked a few other times, and the idea started to creep in our heads, and we thought, well, actually, wow, wouldn't that be cool? Oh, we could never do that though. And then we're doing a wedding in this barn, and the white ribbon's getting all dirty and filthy, and we thought, well, it would be really nice to have a flower shop. And I asked him, I think it was 3 years later, maybe, that he after he'd first mentioned it, that I said, hey, is that still a thing? And wouldn't you know, we had a flower shop like 7 months later. So I feel like right now we're still in the process of figuring out, like, what is this shop? What do we do? What is it going to become? Because right now we do our weddings and events out of it, and you can walk in and buy flowers in a normal year. You can walk in and buy flowers. And we started stocking cards and books and vases and things like that, which is just new. I have farmer brain, so I haven't fully wrapped my head around, what it could be. But it's an exciting space for us because it could be so many things. It's a beautiful space. We think, gorgeous. Oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing? We could host bridal showers here. We could host, like, whatever. We have a lot of ideas. So I think that it's going to be very much a work in progress over years, and we'll see what kind of settles and what sticks. And we're interested in trying lots of things with the space.
It's so amazing. You've got this farm, you've got this beautiful shop. You're selling flowers out of the shop in a normal year. What about the classes? I've seen you. I haven't had the good fortune of taking a workshop with you, but I know that you give a lot of workshops there as well.
In a normal year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the workshops have been so fun and well attended. I'm so glad that they've been well received. Floral design workshops, and we've tried our hands at a few other things too, botanical illustration, some things like that. But really what people seem to love is just like what's coming in abundance that's amazing in the field, and how do we work with that. And it's been really fun. So like last year we did a class when it was ranunculus season, and then we did one when it was poppy season, peony season, and people have so much fun. I get so used to just being surrounded by flowers all the time. It's so fun for me to be in a room and have set up, just bring all the buckets in from the field and set them all up, and have people walk in and like their jaws drop you know, when they get to see like all these flowers that they just get to rifle through and play with. And so that's been really fun for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
What about weddings? You're pretty good at it.
Thanks. Should we full disclosure that we did your wedding flowers?
Sure, sure.
It was so fun. Some of my favorites, the colors, the celosia and everything. Yeah, we do lots of weddings. It's big business in the Hudson Valley right now. It seems like there's venues opening up all the time, and there's really beautiful venues here. And the wedding business has just grown and grown and grown. And even this year, a lot of our weddings were canceled. Nobody canceled. They're getting bumped, you know, till next year and things like that. But we did a wedding on Saturday, a Zoom wedding with 140 guests.
Wow.
Yeah, and
With flowers.
and a lot of elopement flowers right now and things like that. So yeah, weddings. We do everything from you can just come pick up your bouquet at the store to you can come and just pick up buckets of flowers, loose flowers, and do your flowers yourself, all the way up to big old full service installation, hanging chandelier weddings.
Well, you know, my second favorite part of, so my favorite part of getting married was, of course, you know, getting married, the ceremony. That was so much fun. But my second favorite part was walking in the fields with you and Bill a few days before the wedding. And you know, we had to pivot a little bit because I don't remember exactly, but I think it had been too wet. So certain things that we thought we were going to have on our tables weren't available. That process must be really exciting for you and creative.
I love it, and I love what you did, just being loose with it and coming to the fields and saying, "Oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool," because having the fields, they just surprise you, and you can't plan. You can't plan. There's you get in trouble if you plan, because you end up wanting flowers that maybe aren't looking as good that week. When you are loose with it, you just the fields provide. They just send up the most amazing things, and it's so fun. You know, we talk about it like it's an improviser's art. We've spent all this time, you know, practicing our design. We've been doing weddings for almost 10 years now, and you know, just developing the skills to be able to design with these flowers and to do the installations and everything. And I think about people's weddings and the style and the colors for months, but then it's actually just that week and a few days before that I, you know, that it all solidifies and that we get to do it. And it's fun. They come out good that way.
And hopefully most of your clients are as flexible as you are. What about Luke? Well, like, how do you guys divide the work? Luke is your partner. You've got also a couple of kids running around. I know you've got one son who's pretty good at daffodil picking.
Oh, he's very good at daffodil picking and scaping garlic. Apparently, we found out yesterday he scaped all of our garlic. Yeah, Luke does all the customer service except for the weddings, which I handle, but he does all the customer service. He's gone from a non-farming jazz guitarist to like a dude who can fix everything. He does all the tractor works. He sets up the irrigation. He installs the electrical system in the greenhouses. Like, he's just learned all this stuff on the job over the years. And you know, this year I'm sure we'll get to it, but we have no staff this year. So you know, he's out in the field doing the planting and all that stuff as well. Yeah. And then I do more of the plant things, you know, the seeding, taking care of the seedlings in the greenhouses, that kind of stuff.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, why don't we transition to a little bit about where we are now? It's June 19th. This whole pandemic has been raging for a few months. This was your prime season, weddings, flower shop, the growing. I guess to start, Jenny, how you doing?
Okay. It's just been so crazy, and we're doing okay. We're all healthy. We're all working. We're good. We're all good. We're good.
How many people would be working with you now on your team in a normal year?
So usually at this point in the season, there's the two of us and 6 employees.
Did you have to sort of alter your plans in terms of how much you would grow because you knew you would not be able to employ those individuals?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really bonkers how it happened. You know, there was that week in March, right, that everything just shut down all of a sudden. I think within 36 hours, we lost all of our event work. We lost all of our early season sales. You know, we do big plant sales and things like that, and all of that was all shut down. And it was almost like within, you know, from morning to afternoon, our cash flow just stopped cold. We just all of a sudden had you know, all this income that we depended on to, you know, pay the crew. You know, farming, it's like you spend a ton of money over the winter and spring, and you don't bring it back again until the spring and summer, and the prospect of all of that income was just shut down all of a sudden. And it was literally like a few hours where we felt like, okay, so what's the crew going to do tomorrow, to, oh my gosh, we have to lay off our crew today. Like we can't pay them even next, you know, tomorrow. So that was crazy. And mid-March, you know, all of the seeding, all of the planting for flowers through July was already done. We thought, you know, all of our weddings were canceled, but also our main customers had been florists whose events were also all canceled. So we expected to have, you know, like almost no sales for the season. But also, if you remember at that point, nobody knew. We thought, is this 2 weeks, or is this 2 months, or is this 2 years? Like, what's going on? So I did change the whole crop plan. Within a week, I cut back half of what we were going to grow. I tried to think about what Luke and I could do on our own. Fortunately, we have a lot of equipment, so we're able to still do a lot of the farming ourselves. And we, just changed the planting plans and kind of came up with some contingencies, you know, like we knew we had to plant out our 1.5 acres of dahlias because we can't lose our tuber stock. You know, we couldn't not plant it and lose our tuber stock. And we figured if nobody was buying flowers this year, we would just mow down the dahlias and dig up the tubers and save them for the following year. We figured we could grow and plant out all of our annuals by ourselves, but we wouldn't be able to pick them by ourselves. So we thought, well, if nobody's buying, if events aren't happening, you know, we'll just either let the flowers go back in the field, you know, go by in the field, or hey, maybe we'll open up the farm to you pick and see if we can recoup some of the seed costs that way, you know. So just immediately we had to just start thinking about contingencies and what would we be able to handle and what would we do if, you know.
So of those things, what have you done that's worked for you?
Well, I think you know, in those early days, there were some Zoom calls with flower farmers from all around the Northeast, and it was pretty gloom and doom. We thought that all of our sales were lost, that, you know, people were losing their jobs, nobody would be buying flowers. And man, has it turned out to be the opposite. The world is clamoring for flowers right now. People need them. People need the flowers, and especially with the gloomy cold spring we had, it was people stuck at home. It was raining, it was cold, and it seemed like flowers were really keeping people going. So I think not just flower growers, but farms in general are seeing some of their, like, the busiest season we've ever had sales wise. People have really come in to support their farms, and are kind of clamoring for farm products, for a lot of reasons.
I've heard that all the local farmers are busy. Your CSAs are complete, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends whose CSAs, which usually don't sold out within a week. Our tulip CSA, we never put a cap on it because we never had to. We just sold as shares we could, and all of a sudden we had sold, triple. Just within 2 weeks, we'd sold triple of what we'd ever done. So it's been really really surprising.
And you've been able to do this with just the two of you and your kids. Amazing.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we have Luke's mother here a lot of the time with the kids. We did about a month by ourselves with the kids, who are 2 and 4. So it's been we've got all kinds of crazy things going on. We strap car seats to the back of tractor implements and stuff, and they just ride along with us when we're by ourselves. And yeah, the 4-year-old, or he's almost 4, he is good with the pair of clippers. He can harvest daffodils, he can harvest peonies, he can harvest all kinds of stuff, for 10 minutes until he starts to wreck them.
So what is the summer like for you? Is it just more of the same, do you anticipate, or do you think that anything will change? And also, what's up with the Hillsdale shop, which is essentially closed at the moment?
Yeah, the Hillsdale shop is closed for the time being, but what we were able to do immediately was switch all of our sales over to online sales, and we do curbside pickups now. So you can order your flowers Monday through Thursday and pick up flowers Friday and Saturday in Hillsdale, in the parking lot of the shop. And so that has actually been, I mean, if there's a silver lining to all of this, it's that it forced us to move over to online sales. It's made people can see what we have, what we're growing, and there's been a lot of excitement about that, and it's been fun for me taking pictures of everything and sharing that with everybody. So as of now, we're not planning to open the shop yet anyway. I kind of want to see how it goes, and we'll continue the curbside pickups, which have been really successful. And then who knows, maybe later in the season, if maybe we'll open the shop up again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think if we've learned anything from this, and you asked like what the summer's going to be like, we don't know. I mean, the thing that we've learned is just to try to be responsive quickly, and just try to change as quickly as the news is changing, and try to adapt as quickly as we can. Because this season is entirely different than we spent the whole winter planning out the season, and that is all just in the garbage.
Amazing.
No weddings and events, no farm crew, complete turnover to online sales and retail sales. And I think we're really lucky that it all panned out that way. We're okay. We're in business because of the good people of Copiague and Hillsdale, who've been buying flowers every week, every single week, like clockwork. Mwah! Amazing. That's why we're in business still. It's amazing.
Jenny, thank you so much for sharing this with me. We admire you and Luke so much, and your business is so interesting and important to the community. You're taking care of this beautiful land and running a business, and it doesn't surprise me that, knowing who you and Luke are, that people are so responsive also. I'm sure that they're buying flowers because because of COVID, right? They want to surround themselves with beauty, but there's also so much respect for you and Luke and your business. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's nice. Thank you.
Well, we'll sign off now. Thank you so much for chatting with us, Jenny.
Thanks for having me. I love this project. This is great.